your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, everyone. Again, Keon, Michelle, Harvey. Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
What we got here?
Oh, sorry.
No, you good. Okay. All right. So again, I want to welcome everybody to the program. And I was telling my wife yesterday I have tens of listeners. So let me do a shout out to Tanya Williams' folks who listen to me. And I was surprised. So anyway, she's a coworker of mine, and she said, "Oh yeah, my mom and they listen to you." I'm like, "Oh man!" So I have tens of listeners. Again, let me do this. Today is Wednesday. So they fired the coach, the Bucks. Who cares? Wow, he's had the shortest tenure ever.
Black man.
Ever. But you know what was very interesting? That's what I thought I was going to get. That is not the reaction. There's a lot of people who don't care that he got fired.
Of course they are.
They don't care that he got fired.
Yeah, we don't. We don't care about what happens to us.
Yeah.
NFL. We don't care.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if it's about that, but that's all right.
Yeah, I know. Hard pills.
All
But we
right.
don't care.
All right. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Yeah, but folks were at first I thought it was a joke, and then found out it was for real. So again, I think he's had the shortest tenure of any NBA coach ever. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing this morning before you get started?
I'm doing all right.
Okay, good. I wanted to catch you while Michelle was there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's speaking of when she's telling us on the radio about mainly what she was saying, don't turn your back on your own people.
Mm.
And I wanted to tell her I had the biggest blowout on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is actually she's an in-law,
Mm-hmm.
but she's my sister's in-law, so I consider her my family too, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the biggest blowout. I swear it went bad.
Mm-hmm.
It went way, way bad because she studied criminal justice and social justice in the college. So to give them this rundown on how our city, the area where blacks are so poor. And she's got in her head because we're so poor because we don't want to work. The women are having babies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't be women. They get to call bad names.
Mm-hmm.
Having babies. The men don't want to work and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I told her that's not true. I said, you never hear anything good about our people. All you see is on the news. And other people running their mouth and don't know nothing about us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had a guy kind of call himself was a president, call himself trying to run again. They're invading your neighborhoods, they're breaking the law. And who could break the law any more than him? And I tell her, look at them. Don't come to me with that.
Mm-hmm.
You got more people, white people committing more crime, but you never flash it on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
So don't tell me every crime in America is black. And I want Michelle, I want to say thank you because I just went through that the other day and still going through it because I'm still getting texts. She texted me and still going to give me the whole lineup. She took at UWM, how our area is so blighted. And like I said, we don't bring that garbage down here. The city did that stuff. The city started charging these people for dumping garbage, so they started dumping them in the empty lot. And so there's a lot of history going on behind this. And you go back and look at Milwaukee when Milwaukee was prosperous, the jobs that was here. I retired from Allen Bradley. I got a pension. And if these crazy people don't understand, you had to fight for that. We had to fight to get that pension. That's why we had unions. Now they're blocking the unions. They're finding ways to eliminate them. But thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Keith, for listening to me, and Key out in the background, too.
Someone was giving me a hard time yesterday when I said the first thing I see in the morning when I look in the mirror is I see a human being, right? That's I turn on the radio at 7 o'clock, and that's when I become black again. So if I'm coming in here, I'm going to be reminded. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Parris. Assalamu alaikum to you all. Happy Savior's Day upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
this is concerning this our sister Michelle, Miss Bryant. Um, and I agree with her position. And I like to say it like this: the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said the airwaves are sacred, and I am taught to understand that before well, first of all, we should never speak about our people in a condemning way without being comprehensive as to why, how, the when, the what, the who. What is the cause of the effect, and what has affected this cause? Why are we the way that we are? The scripture says that the potter cannot blame the clay for the shape that it's in, because the potter is the one who shapes the clay to determine its function. And the scripture also says that how shall they know except they have a teacher, and how shall they have a teacher except he be sent? And when we are talking about the condition or our state of condition or being, uh, there are people on this planet who would like to escape their direct contribution to our destruction. And any of us, especially someone who is not representative of us on a broader scale, because one man's success when it comes to Black people means nothing when it comes to us as a whole. So that's great that you may have accomplished this, that, or the other. But if our people are still suffering and you don't speak to that, the why, how did it happen? That's not to say that we don't have any blame for it, but we must understand that there are forces, and these forces are people who are diametrically opposed to the rise of Black people. And we have our very own people who are diametrically opposed to our disengagement of the slave master's children, and us going on and doing something for ourselves. That is our whole problem. We will not accept our own and be ourselves. We will not collectively pool our resources. We keep going to the same old people who have nothing done anything for us. As the scripture says, the children of Israel does love the devil, so yeah, he does nothing for them. So you live your life and continue to do it as you see fit, but you are not the voice of Black people, especially when you don't exemplify what being a Black man is in the wilderness and hills of North America. Thank you.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Man, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Man, that man always be trying. It take you forever to say nothing. Man, stop that, man. You be trying to sound so intelligent. Get to the point, man. All right, now back to what I was saying, man. Miss Michelle, that was needed. And it would end it the way it was supposed to end it. And as you said, a lot of things that I could not stand and say, not because I don't have the courage or not that I'm scared or anything like that. It's just that I don't have the intelligence to put words together as you do. That's my only weakness. That's the reason why I don't speak much. But when I do speak, I get to the point and I say what I have to say. There's no question about where I stand. There's no question about who I am. And there's no question about how I feel about my people. Now, the way that person that you punched in the face sounded like the same way when we gave up our Black businesses, when we were confronted and had to stay in one section of town and deal with ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, to ourselves. Now, I heard the way that person was speaking sounded the same way as a lot of Black-owned business owners sounded when they sold out. And I say sold out when they know the white man couldn't come and sell face to face to us because he would get drama. So when the others came, he used them as the middleman to get the money from us. And then we accepted them people, even though they don't do anything for us, did anything for us, lived with us, spent the money back with us. I've seen it from the economical business side, the deterioration of the black business and black companies and the black people themselves. So I was in that. I come from a family, like Miss Michelle said, that worked, showed you, did you. Everything that I learned, I've seen happening around me. And now that you don't see it no more, you don't hear it no more, it's just like it. And I'm just like, ooh, I'll be frustrated. But another thing we got to know is that some niggas only see niggas because that's all they are. And it's not, and like some black folks only see black folks because that's who they are. And sometimes the two cross paths. But we got to understand that that word nigga came from them, not from us. So when we do repeat it, it shows that. And then they also know why we can't say it. Go ahead and say it. Feel free. Go ahead. I would love to hear you say it. All right, I'm bagging up out of here. But love yourselves. We are ourselves. Everything you see is us.
Then all our words come from the white man. Oh, it's Wednesday. We're joined in the studio by Miss Bria Grant. Good morning, Bria. How are you?
Good morning, Keith. I was listening so curiously.
Everything. Let me do a cleanup on 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 4. Adrian Griffin had the third shortest tenure. Thank you very much for that correction.
Are
Thank
people
you.
upset about that?
Not really. Not really
Yeah.
at all.
It is what it is. You just got to get the business. Well, you got to get the business.
And it ain't even a black thing. You know, when Ray Rose got fired,
performance.
People got, oh man, he's a black man. You know, we heard it. Nah, no, I haven't heard race. I haven't heard any of this. He was put in a tough situation, though. I mean, you coming in. I think if they had not traded for Damian Lillard, he could have coached that team, right? But he had to figure out how do you meld that talent. And then the defense was just awful. You have teams like Detroit scoring like 130 points on you. So I don't know if it's an effort issue, but it was obvious. And again, we were shocked that it happened, but you didn't hear people saying we need to protest this thing because I think a lot of people even thought at the beginning of the season he was kind of in over his head.
Well, also, I think that the players demonstrate leadership. And we have Giannis, who is truly, he really demonstrates Warrior King. Hey, we're going to perform. Everybody got to go, except for my brother. Everybody got to go. And if coach can't clean it up, if coach can't get it right, I don't know if I can be on this team. That's leadership. I don't know if I can continue to be here. Me and my brher.
So you think they cut Finassus? He's gone. He's out of Milwaukee.
Oh, absolutely. He's made that statement that's hands off.
And people say, well, what is Finassus's role? I don't know, but I'm glad he's on the team.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just glad. And then you always have a Finassus moment when he gets in the game. You know he's gonna do something, and you kind of go like, "Whoa, yeah." I thought that was very interesting when because Rhonda said they fired the coach. Her brother in Miami sent her the text saying they fired the coach. Right? I'm going, oh man, they didn't fire that dude. Oh, they fired him.
I mean, he came in with trauma. Didn't he lose a relative or
that was
close?
That was Buden. That was Budenholzer who lost his brother.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Right when he
going
started
into playoffs.
Okay, yeah.
So, and even if they didn't let him stay. But here's the other thing: the Bucks is going to be paying him for like the next 3.5 years.
Well, he wins.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he's winning, and that's okay. It's all right when we recognize that. I went to this professional business class in Texas last year. And this guy, very, very well-established, successful businessman, he said, hire fast, promote fast, but fire faster. That is a process we don't like to deal with. If you are not performing, it's It just is what
And I
it
think the
is.
Bucks had
It's not
made
personal.
they made a financial decision. So let's say you're going to bring in Doc Rivers, because what they have to pay Doc Rivers, and I don't know, there's rumors out there that Doc Rivers is going to be the coach. But if they would have hired Doc
I
Rivers,
thought he signed already. I thought he agreed already.
so I don't know if it's been confirmed.
CNN. I mean, you know,
Right.
Shaquille O'Neal. I feel like he's credible.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal,
I feel like he's
the
credible.
Shaqster.
Yeah, if he says it's like in sports.
Yeah, so they're going to take a financial hit, but it's easier to fire a coach than it is to fire a player, and the players play. And I, even when Budenholzer was here, I had the same reaction, and people blamed a lot on him, but it's actually the players who get out there and execute and play.
That's right.
You know, so they're not playing defense. At some point, someone has to go. So,
but that's when you know your value as a leader.
What do you mean?
I mean, when you know your value, you can say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to be a part of this if it doesn't shift," and people move. Right? We need to take some lessons from how this played out, and quite honestly, look at all the pieces. Like, how are we internalizing our own value as leaders in our community to say, "Hey, what we see happening is not okay."
What did Nino Brown say? It's always business. It's never personal.
It's never personal.
It's never personal. It's always business. And so but now the business hurts. Now that when it becomes very personal, if you're on the receiving side of that negative business, it hurts you. But man, it's the bottom line. I was thinking about Mitch McConnell and what he did to make sure that those 3 conservative justices got on the Supreme Court. You think he cared about what people thought of him? He didn't care. He had the power.
Yeah.
He used the power. We kept saying, but that ain't right. Right ain't got nothing to do when it comes to power. I hate to put it that way, folks, but that's how it is. When it's power over right. If people want to think, oh, it's the righteousness of why people do it. No. Civil rights movement was right. Going for human justice was right. But it was the economics that began to change people. So when you had riots, that's economics, right? So when people kind of go like, yeah, your feelings and they should do it because it's right, people ain't doing things because it's right. People do things because it's in their best or in their self-interest. That's why we do what we do. That's how human beings operate. And so people going, I can't believe Mitch McConnell did. I believe it.
You know, I like how you cleaned that up. You said it's in their best or in their interest. Because sometimes things are not even in the person's best interest, but they do it anyways. Is it just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, we could do, but I'm talking about people in power. Yeah. People in power, it's about, and if you ever had power, it's hard to give it up. I don't care what anybody, oh, I give it up until you get it. You know, all right. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Harris. I want to ask you a question. And again, pride costs absolutely nothing. If you go to the bathroom, Mr. Harris, and do number 2, is it my responsibility to wash your hands when you are a big, grown, able-bodied individual?
No.
So I don't understand why is it when it comes to us as Black people, and why we get so upset. We have all these garbage cans over the city, but nobody can walk to a garbage can. So we should say it's okay to throw paper. And then the thing is, they say, well, we should have neighborhood cleanup. Why should somebody have to come from another zip code or another neighborhood to clean up where you eat, piss, and use the bathroom?
I agree, but Al, you're right on all of that. So, but I think the reaction is that's not every neighborhood, that's not everybody. And,
well, how about this?
Okay, but what I'm saying is that, yeah, we have a problem with trash throughout the city because trash is blowing. Okay, you know, so I don't know if it's any worse in certain neighborhoods.
Well, put it like this. Okay, my grandmother had over 10 kids, and I know we like to make excuses, clean it up. Her house was kept spotless. I'm gonna give more reason for people that even agree with it. It was in 53206, and she didn't have a piece of paper around her house. So we can't sit here and keep making excuses. Because it seems like every time it comes to us as Black people, and we're all smart, bright, and intelligent, when it comes to something where you know right from wrong, we make excuses. First of all, shouldn't nobody have to come pick up around my house? When I have a box or whatever I'm eating, I should take it to the garbage can. It's not for me to walk in front of your house and drop any garbage and expect for
But
you
that's
to
not
pick it
because
up.
people are black. It's
No, I
because
didn't say
that
it's
person
because
might
they're
be
black.
trifling. It got nothing to do with them being black. Just
Well,
happens
see,
that they are black. I mean,
but
we
see,
ascribe certain behaviors, and that's
well,
here's our word today, pejorative. But that's not the case. I mean,
but we have two different kinds of black people. You
no,
have
no,
your
we
black.
don't. No,
Yes,
we don't.
yes,
We
do.
have 40
Yes, we
million
do.
different types of black people.
Okay, we'll put it like this. In the world of ebonics, on where I live and how we talk, and I know how we talk, black people don't like niggers. And I heard religious people say it, regular people say it. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
I
There's
got
two kinds of people.
no. We use the word. Let's substitute that word. Black
Okay,
people
well, we can
don't like. Hold on,
substitute it.
L. Black people don't like trifling people, because see, you can be black and trifling, and you talked about your grandmother. Your grandmother kept a clean house. She wasn't trifling. We got all kind of trifling people.
Well, I understand it, but
So
what I'm saying
I
is,
think the point that
why is
Michelle
people
was
getting
trying
so
to make
upset?
was that when we say this and we put this broad brush and paint black people or white people, any people with a broad brush, it's not fair to the 90 or 85% of the people who are doing what they're supposed to do every day.
I wasn't talking about black people.
Okay.
I was talking about niggas.
But you talk about that. You're not talking about white people. You're talking particularly about descendants of enslaved Africans.
Well, actually, the word nigga is universal in my book.
Okay, and again, like I said, I'm agnostic on the word, but when we hear it, what's going to be attached to it is descendants of enslaved African people.
So,
not somebody from Italy, not somebody from Ireland, not somebody even from South America, not even anybody from Asia. It's going to be descendants of enslaved, colonized African people.
And
that's who that word was how that word was used.
Can I
for
share
us.
something with you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but they also call each other foreign niggas.
They could, but I'm saying that the problem that we have is that depending on who's hearing this, you know why we got the crime bill? We got that and the drug laws. It wasn't so much white people complaining. It was black people and how black people were talking about other black people using terms like super predator and that these folks, and that was black people. Half of the black congressional caucus voted for the crime bill.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is I don't understand when people sit here and get so upset about, well, you should pick it up. That is sad that somebody else should have to pick up after you when you big grown able bodied. We got all these garbage cans that comes up to your breastbone or your breastplate, whatever you decide to be. But we can't go. We can go up to the garbage can.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Do you agree that not everyone was raised like you? Meaning you had a grandma that put some standards in place.
Yeah. Well, I will agree. Everybody wasn't raised like me, but everybody know right from wrong.
Okay, wait. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. We gotta take it. We have to digest it. So and so everyone wasn't raised like you, and so there are some extremities, right? We have how you were raised, and then let's look at the very opposite end of the spectrum of how you were brought up. Right. And then let's look at that opposite end of the spectrum that has and it's been like that for, let's just give it 20 years, just one generation. Right. Well, no, we got to give it more than one generation. So say 40 years. Right. So you have 40 years, 2 generations of the opposite, very extreme of how you were brought up. Well, what is the product do you think you will have now?
Well, the product is you still know right from wrong.
Well, hold on, wait. Let's take it one step at a time.
Let me ask you a question.
Because who taught me right from wrong?
So let me ask you a question then. Do you think them same people will walk in front of a moving bus?
Wait, that's different. That's not what we're talking about here, right?
But you said right from wrong.
No.
And
that's not necessarily right from wrong.
That's
that
survival.
Is hurt.
That's survival.
Like,
right.
Yeah. So let's just hold on, wait, real quick, Al, because sometimes I don't think we really internalize the state of our community and why those who are well, right, i.e. you and I, those who may be well, is, I like to think that we can have these healthy type of conversations. There's a level of stability in us to be able to have these conversations that we do have to kind of bridge the gap, so to say, right? Because we have a lot of damage done to our community. So no, we don't want to enable people to be to be nasty, so to say. We don't want to
So
enable them to not have healthy behaviors. We want to demonstrate it, and by beholding, you become changed, right? So, for instance, if I'm in certain communities, I've seen some of the people that don't mind littering on 27th and Burleigh go into other communities and won't dare do it because they see that atmosphere is not set for such, and it has
but
been.
can I say something?
Yes.
And those same people know how to wash their hands after they do number two.
Some of
So
them,
even though
but
they
some of
wasn't
them
taught, they
don't.
still know right.
Some of them don't.
It's a
Right.
big-
And so
it's a-
that's the assumption.
It's a big world, Al.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a big world,
And
man.
this is why we have to have compassion. This is why we have to have grace. This is why we have to really step outside of our own shoes sometimes and that of someone else's. Because, there are people that don't understand your upbringing. There are people that don't understand you. Right. And so we want people to understand us, but we don't understand others when we feel like they fall below our level of measurement.
So I guess then we'll just make excuses that people don't know how to
Nope.
walk to the garbage can. Then
Nope, we do not.
and then we'll just tell people we're gonna sit here and say we know that every individual that graced this earth is smart, bright, and intelligent. We also know they wash their hands after they use the bathroom. We know they're not going to jump off the roof without a parachute. They ain't going to walk in front of a train or run in front of a police car. But we know they wasn't taught to walk to the garbage can. Pride costs nothing.
All right, appreciate you. We're on break, are we? We good? No? All right. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keith, Bria, and Keon.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have many different opinions, and we have to be tolerant of others. But now I want to move on to a coach situation. Number one, that coaching business it varies. And I want to get with the Green Bay Packers. Okay, are they going to fire somebody over there? Because when I look at things, give people enough time to adjust and be in a position. Now, he was only the coach, just one season?
Half a season.
That's not fair.
I agree. It's not fair, but it's business.
But it ain't just business.
Yeah, it is. Because the Bucks are looking at their window for them to win a championship with this team. And
you know something, I could do, Keith, it's more to it than that.
What else? What else is
giving
it?
a fair shake.
What else is it?
And when those players, really, if I didn't like this, I could go out and screw off playing my game if I'm going to be that small-minded.
You can't fire the player.
Okay, but check this out. Before they made that announcement, they talked to Giannis about that. Okay, They ran it across the players. And oh yeah, they did. Or else Giannis would have been saying something because he's not
ran across a player.
No, not 8. He makes a big difference to that team. It would be him that they'd be talking to.
But they didn't talk to him when they traded for Lillard. They didn't talk to him. When they traded for Damian Lillard, they did not talk to any of the players.
I think it's important for us not to put too much interpretation. We weren't there, right?
Okay, we weren't there.
It was pretty bad that but it was pretty bad that in their minds, estimation of management, that they would fire this guy mid-season with 3.5 years left on the contract. So it had to be pretty bad.
Okay, that's enough. Now you mentioned something very good. Now he had a contract, so they got to pay that contract out. So he's not leaving broke.
Oh no.
But I hope he does get another shot at being a coach somewhere.
Well, I think the folks were out saying that he'd probably be a great coach. This was probably just not the situation. Things happened to him. When they hired him, they had not traded for Damian Lillard. And so
what's his history? What's his resume? Like, does he have the experience to
he's been an assistant coach.
Right. So maybe they just was giving somebody a chance that wasn't ready. Right.
And they didn't have to pay him like they'd have to pay Doc Rivers.
Exactly. And so now they're being dinged for the bittersweetness of being a business owner.
Somebody
and running business.
The high cost of living cheap.
Yeah. Oh, is that what?
The high cost of living cheap. When you go in and you trying to get this bargain, and they were, you figure this guy has no head coaching experience. You're not going to pay him the same thing that you'd have to pay a Doc Rivers or Nick Nurse, and plus Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse, they won NBA championships. So, you know,
Okay, well, get ready and pay. But anyway, my thing is this: what they gonna do with Green Bay Packers? Because I heard little young guys that that shoot around ball say, "Now when things get like that, you stall, you throw the ball out, you do that." And I said, "That all makes sense. Why didn't they call the timeout?"
Well,
anyway,
I think when you ask about the Packers, I believe as a team had an aha moment. And you could see that they really began to play well at the end of the season. They could have beat San Francisco. So I think now the players are understanding, because a lot of times you don't realize you got to have this aha Pentecostal moment in your life where you get to, oh, okay, we got to buy into it. So I think that's what you're seeing with the Packers. I think had they not had the playoff run, LaFleur probably would have been fired. No question in my mind.
And him as a coach and that guy, I'm glad they got rid of him, or maybe I just haven't seen it. They didn't give Love. Love is not Brett Favre. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's Love.
Right.
And you not your brother.
Right.
So why you don't want him to be somebody that he is not? That team is just getting to gel and know each other. I'm speaking from a mother's point of view, not from a male fanatic point of view, like most men do.
Yeah, but that's why mother's not coaching this game. Yeah.
And you know something?
Because you're not going to have us out here looking crazy because you feel bad for your baby. No.
Okay, check this out. No, check this out.
Have you been to that little Pee-wee football? And the mama's out there, you trying to explain to her, your son is not that good. Your son is not that good. I understand you love him, but he should not be starting. Okay.
Okay. Hold up a second. I didn't say all mothers are going to be fanatics and be crazy.
Oh, but I'm gonna tell you, they talk that whole little league moms.
Somewhere there.
Those little league moms are something, man. That'd be like, first of all, you don't know anything about football, and now
and some of y'all don't either, but you got a lot of opinion.
Oh yeah, but we men.
We
don't have to know.
And I'm gonna tell you about me.
We men. We don't have to know what we're talking about. We're men.
Oh, I know. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We do want to have a more serious conversation.
Can I just say one thing, Bree?
Yes.
If I had that ball and looked back and seen them big guys coming after me, I'd throw that ball in the air and run.
See, that's why you're not playing.
That's a fact.
Do men have to know what they're talking about? I mean, is that a thing?
Clearly, they don't. Right. Can I use that as a pivot here? Because I went to see Vice President Kamala Harris, right? The fight for reproductive freedom, where men have lots of opinions.
I'm an ally.
I appreciate that.
I'm an ally.
I wish more men recognize the importance of being an ally in this fight for reproductive freedoms. Why are you an ally, Keith?
Well, my progressive bet, I think working for Planned Parenthood. So I, in terms of reproductive health, I just have a little different insight. And I just believe this, it is not for me as a man to tell a woman what she should do with her body.
Yep. And you know what? It's important for us to respect the roles. I struggle sometimes. This is not going to go well with some folks. I struggle with watching female commentators in football and basketball. That's me. I'm like, that's not your lane, baby.
It is their lane.
And I don't wait.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay, wait.
Because they're better prepared than the men.
Well, you didn't play male football. You didn't play male basketball. So that's where my angle come from. And likewise, I'm like, all right, men legislative representatives, this is not your lane. It is okay to say, hey, I don't have a womb. I can't speak to this level of
my ovaries,
policy.
My ovaries hurt every Tuesday. Inside BLWU, when you start talking about women's health, I'd just be like, "Oh man, that hurt my cervix."
If only you can feel it, right?
I just cringe all up. But no, I think that it has been. And look, here's the conspiracy with the Q guy.
With the who?
I'm the conspiracy with the Q.
Oh, okay, yes.
Because here's the deal. White people are fearful of becoming minorities. This is why white men are leading the charge against women having access to abortions. They could care less. Look, black women, and this whole myth that black women don't get abortions, you're wrong. As a matter of fact, Black women have a higher percentage based on the population of getting based on, I think we're like 13% of the population. They make up something like 16, 17% of the abortions. So Black women, that myth out there that Black women don't get abortions, Black women do. And you'd be surprised. You really be surprised.
Well, it's funny. I don't know what narrative, what spaces you're sitting in, because oftentimes the spaces I'm sitting in is that white women aren't getting abortions, and I'm like, yes, they are. Everybody. This is everyone
Hispanic
is
women are,
using
and
the
these
service
folks are,
because it's a form of family planning, which is very, very important, right?
Right.
I want to say something because it was really energizing to be in the space and to just be reminded of why this election is so important and why we can't sit out this election. Right, wrong, or indifferent about how you feel about the options. They exist. Trump just won New Hampshire, right? This man is like a super Freddy Cougar. He might be coming back. He might be
Mike Myers.
Yeah, Mike Myers.
Mike Myers.
Jason.
Jason Voorhees.
all of the above.
You know what though? It's not that he's like a super, it's not like that. You got to remember, it's the people bringing him back. He's just not coming back to life.
33%.
No.
We got to remember what we misunderstand. Like that whole thing with Al. A whole lot of people feel that way. We just misunderstand, or we just have our own perception, and some of us feel that way too. We just don't want to feel like that on the mic. You know what I'm saying? Or in public, but we go home and say the same thing, and that's the problem. Because just like a lot of people are hypocritical in public and they got the other side at home, some folks are just straight up gonna be that, and they believe that, and they tired, and that's what happens. And we just what's wrong with people?
The problem with us working on our feelings and beliefs is that it will take us down a rabbit hole that we're not prepared to go to.
Right.
When we talk about voting,
that's life.
That is a rational decision. It should be a
just
rational
like
decision.
drinking and drugs. It's life.
That's
Rabbit holes.
Downside of democracy, because if you're eligible to vote, you don't have to be smart, you don't have to be insightful, you just show up and vote. And then how do most people vote? They vote on their perceptions, they vote on their feelings.
They vote as well as they vote on what's being fed to them, right? And so we need to make sure that we're feeding a message. And you can say, yes, the people are bringing him back, but there is an allowance to have that is being provided to him to have a platform, right? At a higher level, right? The manipulation, the bribery, when you had ignorant people that know information about you, you have to tiptoe. You have to walk on eggshells. Yeah, go give him some airtime. Yeah, no, yeah, okay. He wants to do what? All right, well, let's figure out how we do it. Because we don't know how he's gonna release secrets and what he's gonna do and how he's gonna move. So those are other dynamics. But the reality of the matter is that we have our own community that is just divided, right? They are tired, Keon. I agree. They feel like we've been sold a bill of goods through the Democratic Party for a long time in their life. We just want somebody real, quote unquote, and that's why.
But that ain't how politics works, and that's not how government works.
Well, I ain't saying how it works. I'm talking about what is.
Right. But you're what? And I agree. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm not saying what you're saying is not valid. But that's not how government works. And so when people are in saying, "Oh man, what did he do for me?" That ain't on a federal level, unless we're talking about major legislation. Did you get your Social Security check on time? Was it the right amount? That is government. And so when people go in, you looking at policies, for example, let's get back to reproductive health. The very people who say that a woman should not have an abortion, she should bring that pregnancy to term, is the same person when that poor woman is trying to figure out how to feed that child, will cut the programs that will benefit her being able to raise that child. That's the hypocrisy in that, because it's not based on this whole idea of Christian love. So it's based on white identity and making sure that white people still will be the dominant race of people, and I hate to use the term race, but the dominant group of people in this country. If you can read it into all, and people tell you about Jesus never talked about abortion.
So why do people
Hold on, wait. Jesus talked about free choice. He said the choice is yours. Choose ye this day, right? And I want to go there because it's our faith community.
You want to go there?
No, really, because it's our faith community.
You unlock the door.
The black faith community, quite frankly,
and the white faith community.
Well, we're talking about us, though, right? We always got to put other people in a group.
No, because I think it's important that we not
We're
make it
talking
sound like black people are driving this conversation.
No.
We're
I'm
not.
talking about them driving our votes. Is what we're talking about.
Okay.
And so, how do we put a message in those folks that are driving this voter block? Right.
Mhm.
This only thing I can really commit to the voting block of black people and people of color, because the other folks I don't always resonate with. I don't know that we align liberals. I would like to think that we do, but some of the underhanded things that happen makes me question my ability to do that, right? So what I can do is say I've been in this community for 41 years. I've been looking like this. It's my color. It's been like that since November 4th, 1982.
What you gonna do about that?
So my point, Keith. So I just want to reiterate who we're speaking to at Wisconsin's Negro-owned voice.
What are you gonna do about
the
your color?
black voting block? And what we want to be mindful of is that when we think about reproductive health, because this is the issue I often hear. Well, Bria, we can't support abortion. I said, but God gave us the freedom to choose. He said and free will is the most difficult thing for us to accept. We have to understand we have the ability to shift our states here in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin's a pretty powerful, influential state in our national landscape of politics, right? We should be intentional and say, how do I process, and we're going to talk about community brainstorm, the state of mental health in our community, right? Keith, it's our community. How do I process as a parishioner, a pastor, a first lady, the importance of people having free will and loving them the way Christ did, to say, you know what, that's not my fight about reproductive health and the ability to have abortions. I want to make sure you can be safe in your free choice. And that's one of the issues I want us to come out on the polls on. Just one.
You listen to Community Voice. It's Wednesday. We're doing the studio by Miss Bria Grant. We're going to get these callers after the break?
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back.
AM and 106.5 FM.
You asking me? You asking me? Welcome back to Community Voice. Caller, welcome to the program.
Is that me?
No.
Yes.
No?
Yes, you.
Hey, good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Miss Grant and Keon. I don't know if you're having like an open forum, but I kind of wanted to comment on some things that Al was talking about.
Mhm.
And I just have a comment, like why do we get so upset when we're critical of ourselves? Everyone else is critical of us, so why can't we criticize ourselves? Because we are the only ones that's going to be able to fix. And I'm kind of referring to the condition of our neighborhoods with the trash that people just throw all over the place and just discard where we live. You hear so many excuses. Well, we don't own it, and people rent. And my argument is, you still live there, and I can't understand. We just get upset when we're critical of one another. And the thing is, when your neighborhoods are deteriorating, and people have that mind frame. So now you have businesses that won't invest in our community. They're moving out. So if you got to go out to other communities and invest in their community, when you should be able to invest, spend your dollars in your own community. And that's part of the problem too. It's not just a few people. It's too many people that just don't care about the living conditions, and it just makes the whole neighborhood worse. And it's just it's a mind frame thing to me. Right now you don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That was something that Bria said. I just kind of throw it in. But when you've had generations of seeing certain behavior, we were talking about it yesterday when it comes to culture, how culture is really derived from environment. And so if you had that, that's not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it exists.
How many generations?
Well, you said two. 2 generations would be what, 40 years?
40 years.
So when you look at that and you just look at the other thing is that Milwaukee back in the 60s, and we began to see the decline in the 70s, we could afford the socialism, right? We could afford to make sure the streets were spotless because we could afford it. You can't now because the cost of everything going on, revenue sharing, it's a lot.
Population has grown.
Yeah, population has grown.
Well, can I just say something? When I used to go stay with my grandmother in Georgia, and we didn't have much, but she does make sure we were taken care of. We would go spend the summers there, and we had to take care of where the house was, where the property was. We had to pick up around, and I remember washing clothes and with that old wringer machine, and just it is. I guess it is generational, but going forward, how do you just change this behavior, because it's getting worse as far as I'm concerned. Right now you don't see it, but when the snow melts, it's just going to look horrible, And I do it every day. I mean, when I say every day, I mean every day. I'm out picking up every day because I don't want to come home and see trash around my own house. I'll even kind of sweep the neighborhood sometime, But I mean, going forward, how do we change this condition? Because if the neighborhoods are getting worse, and businesses won't invest in our community, and people that move out that can afford to move out, then is that how slums develop and things of that nature? Because it doesn't have to be like that. We don't have to live like that. We don't have to accept that. And you have people from outside our community come into our community dumping things and discarding stuff that they don't want and don't need, because it's been on news several times how people dump. They'll come from outside and dump stuff in our community.
But we also have a lot of folks who will go in and clean out houses. They don't want to pay what they have to pay to take it to the dump. So then they'll find a lot and then they'll dump it, which is trifling.
Right.
What is they going to charge you? $10, $15? And because you made your house, so say, I'll go and clean up your stuff. Okay, you're going to take care of, I'll make sure it's taken care of. And then you go find a lot and then you dump it. So that's a trifling individual to me. because you just don't want to even do the basic kind of stuff to do your profit margin, whatever your profit margin is in that kind of business. But say, hey, I got a bigger part of it. I think you talked. Did your grandma? Did y'all own that land down in Georgia?
Yes, so a little small house. It was just
but you owned it, right?
House. Right.
You can go to the most raggediest house, see just a pristine car in front of the place, and inside that car is like what, pristine? I'll use the word again. Why? They own that car.
But you still live there, Keith.
I know you live there, but if you used to
play outside,
if you used to live in a certain way, man,
be on crack.
Huh?
They be on drugs sometimes. I'm trying to clean this house up.
That ain't no excuse because
ain't nobody making excuses.
Hold on, women. I'm just saying you ain't gotta get mad. My parents done rented houses for decades before they owned it, and we still had to clean up.
But the majority of people that live, we talk about why the dollar circulates the way it does in our community. First example, most people are renting in this community. So the people that own these places don't even live in the state of Wisconsin. That money, when they collect for rent after property taxes, is going to somebody in Florida. So when we begin to talk about our neighborhoods, and look, you don't wash and rent a car. I don't own it. Now, some people will, but the vast majority of people won't.
But Keith, everybody doesn't have that mindset to say you don't wash your car because I'm going to wash the rental car because I don't want to drive.
You know what? I'm not going to wash the rental car. I'm going to take it back to the rental company, and they going to wash it.
Well, however, but the thing is, we all have different mindsets, and you're stable, Keith, so to say, right? And you still feel like I ain't washing a car.
Why? Because I just paid for that car.
Because
I just paid to use that car.
That's where your mindset is, and we all have different mindsets.
Let me ask you this.
So hold on, wait, really quickly.
Do the vast majority of people watch rental cars?
Wait, because this is what I want us to understand. Like, this really all hands on deck, right, with our community. And I hear what the caller is saying, right? But you are stable with what you're not going to do, right? Imagine not even being stable. Imagine not having the mental capacity to think about the fact that my kids threw this trash everywhere outside and I need to go out there and clean it up because my house ain't even clean, right? We got some really, really deep issues, and we get caught up for people that are supposed to be stable, for people that are supposed to be on a higher level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We can be really petty.
Right.
No, the situation. We see statistics, we see research, we know what trauma looks like, but then when we see it in our community, we be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Can I make a comment to Keith? So when you rent that car, you have to bring it back with a full tank of gas, right?
That's correct.
And you have to have insurance, right?
That's
so
correct.
Yeah, so if you do some damage to it, you still got to pay for it some kind of way.
Right.
So I get what you're saying, but I mean, going forward, how are we going to change our condition? That's what I just want to know. Thanks a lot. I'll let somebody else.
All hands on deck, one person at a time, right? We are turning the Titanic. We're unraveling.
I don't know if we want to be on the Titanic.
I mean, it is what it is. It's
sank.
going down.
It's sank.
No. It's going down, but we can save people on the way.
Is it at that burning house that?
Because that King said he feel like he ushered us in. It is, and it's not that the Black community is going down. America is going down. Right? We're just degenerating. It's not going to get better. We can just have a better quality of life as we experience it. Because Rome failed.
But like the caller said and Keith was saying, where do we teach at? Instead of saying they can't get right, why not teach them to get right? I use a lot of rental cars. I had to figure it out. I'm not going to go pay to wash the rental car, but across the country, I'm going to pull back up at Enterprise, and I'm going to say, can you wash the car? Yeah, give me 5 minutes. And they're going to run it through their car wash.
But you're going to make sure it's
I'm going to make sure it's washed.
Washed.
Or else I'm going to ride around state to state with a dirty car from the highway and dust on it.
You don't want to look like that. You don't want to be out
I'm going to wash the car. I'm going to take it to get washed.
However you get it washed, you're going to take care of it, right?
They ain't going to wash the car. Man, pick up that stuff. That's your grass. That's representative of who's in your house.
That's right.
4 men on the porch and the grass is longer than their perms.
That's right.
Come on, fam. Well, don't say nothing to them because you can't say nothing to man. Some of them need to move or move around because Black folks tired. I'm not gonna lie. I've been picking up in front of my house. I done got tired, fam. I run all day, come and see. I don't drink Hennessy. I don't drink Old English. Why is it in front of my house?
Caller, welcome to the program.
I feel you, man, and I think that's where we do make excuses, and we got to stop saying we don't make it. We do make excuses. for whatever reason. I feel what Bria's saying. I feel what you saying, Ken. I hear what Ken. But we do make excuses for our conditions. Now, I'll call to talk about the Bucks, because that's been on my heart since I heard about that, because that really bothered me.
Why?
Let me ask you a question. Who plays spades, or who plays spades or bid whist?
I mean,
and I'm gonna get to it, Bria. That's what I'm asking. I'm trying to go around. I know you don't, but I'm kind of hoping Bria or Keon say it.
We do
but
play spades and biz whiz. Keith,
I don't play.
You haven't ever played?
Never played.
Yes.
And I don't eat watermelon either.
Oh my God! This guy's a
you don't eat watermelon in front of white people. You always say that.
You dealt the hand that you get, right?
Right.
So look at the players that the Bucks got. Besides their starting four, who else they got? who else they got?
That's true.
And so to do that to that man, and let me and Keith, you played basketball. How hard is it to win? Giannis may not ever win another championship with the Bucks. We hope he do. But how hard is it to win a championship in any sport?
Very difficult.
I don't care what your expectations are of the team. It's very hard to win a championship. And so if they want, if Giannis is for real about getting a championship, brother, get rid of your brother off the team. Your brother taking up a spot.
They just traded Bobby Portis?
Yeah, they did that yesterday too.
If you got enough money, you can support your whole family for generations. Your brother do not need to be on the team no more. Get rid of Connaughton. Try and get some players on that team that's going to try and help you.
So you say get rid of Thanasis?
30-13, because the players got to take responsibility too.
You know what our issue is? We would prefer to talk about sports than the state of our community.
No,
we would prefer to talk about something that feels good than stuff that actually flipping matters. Because guess what? They're making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Millions in dollars, and we talking about cleaning up the goddamn neighborhood.
But Bree, I've been talking about this.
Sorry, I gotta stop.
And that's why I really stopped calling the show, because sometimes it just gets frustrating to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. Just for instance, y'all talking about the N-word, when it's appropriate to use it, when it's not appropriate to use it. It's never appropriate to use it. I don't care if you're with your buddies. It's never appropriate to use that.
Okay.
And so we let Al get free. We let Al get free on the radio, and nobody's ever. So he gets wild with his stuff, and then y'all want to get upset. But a couple of weeks ago, Keith was saying the word, and y'all was joking and laughing about when Keith was saying the word.
I say it.
And so that's why I get frustrated sometimes. That's why I slow down, because it's 1,000 words. You know, like Eddie Murphy made the movie 1,000 words. When we gonna get tired of talking about the same stuff generation after generation? All we got to do is do it. If our ancestors did it, why we can't find a way to do what they did? And they were under more trauma than we are. A lot of this trauma we bring on ourselves. Like Keon said, he don't drink Hennessy and stuff. I come outside, it's a big bag of Kentucky Fried Chicken in front of my house.
Do you pick it up?
You know, yeah, I picked it up.
Oh, well,
that's what matters. But I get tired of doing it.
That's what matters. You are stable. You are well. We appreciate you.
So when you say, well, we got to talk about that, I can't talk about what I want to talk about. We was talking about sports. So that was my comment about sports.
No, we're talking about reproductive freedoms.
Well, that's what I want to comment on too, ladies. Lock it up. Don't let them have no more.
Woman did say clank clank.
Lock it up, ladies.
Clank clank.
Keep those panties up and your skirt down.
Right.
A dry purse don't match.
If they don't want to follow your rules, lock it up. And dudes, if you don't want to have no babies, get a vasectomy. You can still have fun. Get a vasectomy. And ladies, lock it up. If dudes don't want to do it, lock it up, ladies. That's what I got to say today.
We love your advice.
You're listening to Community Voice. The Bucks traded Bobby Portis. Oh my God, the South Side is going to go crazy. Bobby. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Milwaukee. Hello, Milwaukee. Can you tell me why did
Miss Stacey Abrams?
This is she. I am very excited to be talking to you.
Mr. Troy Baker.
First and foremost, I'd say it's a personal thing. Quit tripping. Go vote.
Mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
I am with you. Good morning.
choose WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM to talk to you? They knew that WNOV is the voice of the Milwaukee community. But did you also know that
Harold Mosley.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back. And again, this is a proposed trade of Bobby Portis to the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, my Lord.
See what happens with that.
Trade. This is hot news. You're right.
Yeah. All right. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning to you, my man. I got a chance to pull over and give you a call. You know, I was listening from the spanking that went on early this morning. Michelle whooped that boy.
Go on somewhere. She be whooping you all the time. Don't do that.
Yeah, but no. Hold on. But no, she don't whoop me.
What?
I grabbed the belt out of her hand. You understand? I grabbed the belt out of her hand. Hold on. She
13
whooped
licks.
that boy on his feet. Hey, he jumped so high, she whooped him on his feet. He got the holler. She whooped him on his
She
tongue.
got some good licks in before she decided to drop the belt. So,
Well, okay, fine. Listen, check this out. And the brother said, you know, listen, Keith, you made a good point. You said we do have a lot. We got to realize something. We do have a lot of blowing trash as well. But we can see the stuff that's been that's saturatedly building up from people throwing it out their cars and stuff. But listen, man, this is America, right? And a lot of people feel as though they've been taught that this doesn't belong to them. And if it don't belong to me, then oh well, so what? We got you got areas that are dominated by squirrels, and you got neighborhoods you got neighborhoods that only got chipmunks. Okay, I don't even see a squirrel sometimes in some of the places I go. Nothing but chipmunks. Squirrels are very just destructive. And one thing about squirrels, you might don't see them pulling stuff out, but they pull the stuff out. Then they make
why are we talking about squirrels, man?
Why the garbage is blown everywhere?
Because of the squirrels?
That's right. You know what? You following me. Hold on, brother. Not only squirrels, brother, they have a pest control within the city.
You got to live in one of those neighborhoods to experience that, Meech. You know, everybody they don't understand because they're living where the chipmunks are. So, you know, I'm with you though.
Well, listen. So
you live in a chipmunk neighborhood.
Okay, y'all having fun about it. But listen, anyways, I tell you the N-word. If you can say nigger, then you should be able to say the word hunky. And you know what I found out about most black people? They cringe at the word hunky, but they would not say they say nigga all day long, but they cringe when they say, ooh, I better not say that. And I say it so much that sometimes I be around people that have everything. And I say, and I'm just tired of the hunky. And then I say, well, just to clean it up, clean up like you say on aisle 4 or something. I say, well, and the niggas too. But and then they probably laugh. We laugh.
You know where the word hunky came from?
Well, it's a Hungarian word.
It was used to describe Hungarian mine workers in Pennsylvania, Eastern Europeans.
Brother,
so any Eastern European was
already
referred to
aware
as
of
a
that. Now, if you want to give your audience that history lesson, that's fine.
Well, I think because you're using the word, like we use the word, because words have meaning and they should be taken into context. That's why I'm saying I'm agnostic, because part of it is we want to be able to fully express ourselves in America. Sometimes we say words that people are uncomfortable with, and in some instances are offended by. So the question becomes, where does my First Amendment right ends in terms of being able to do it? And I think my First Amendment right comes with a certain level of responsibility. But no, I mean, to say words that people shouldn't say, I would never want to censor people to the point.
But if a person can use that word, hold on. I done heard you use it. I done heard Michelle use it. I use it every day. Listen, hold on. If a person uses that word, he should have no problem with using the opposite word.
You can't tell. No, we choose the words that we give value to and how we use those words, Meech. So no, I mean, if you're right, you can say hunky. It's just like, but where would you say hunky?
It hurted you to say that, didn't it, Keith?
What, hunky?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Growing up in my household, that's how my mama was referred to white people. It was either hunk or hunky. That's all I heard. I didn't know white people. We could call them white people because they were always hunkies in my house.
I grew up like that. But you know, I think we forget that Negro.
I appreciate you, Beach.
Thank you so much, Meech.
That's why I'm so militant.
Hey, you know what? That is a fact. That's a fact. All right, talking about the state of mental health in our community, because this is what we're always talking about, our state of mental health and mental wellness. We have in studio with us Von Mays, who is with community first responders and violence prevention specialists this week at Community Brainstorming
and
Conference breakfast. Oh, I got you. Okay. Yep, I'm gonna. Yep, it's sorry. So this week at this month at Community Brainstorming Conference breakfast this Saturday, the 27th, 8 a.m. breakfast starts. The discussion starts at 9. Miss Dana World Patterson, who's on the line with us, has put a dynamic panel together. We have Pastor Walter Lanier, Nicole Weltner, Dr. Kwaku, Simone Kilmore, Bishop Mark Fossey, Sylvester Jackson, Ellie Halo, and of course we have the chair or the moderator for Community Brainstorming Conference, Mr. Rod Rush. And so really, really excited as always to talk about the state of mental health in our community. Good morning, Miss Dana.
Good morning. Good morning to all.
Thank you so much for being with us here for this discussion. We have Von Mays in studio. Tell us the state of mental health in our community. What can people expect this Saturday as a part of the Community Brainstorming Conference meeting?
What I absolutely love about Community Brainstorming is that they have been bringing vital information for our community for 36 years. And when we think about, we can just look around, even as you all are talking about garbage being thrown out and what we see in our community, what we experience, what we hear, the promotion of this critical discussion is vital for us to continue to learn. When we consider 50 million people that have been counted with mental health issues, and the uprise and the uptick of depression and sexual violence, when we talk about our Black vets and just community issues. Elle is going to talk about the plight of mental health among the LGBTQ community. And Assistant Chief Waldner, the police department, they have a division around mental health, plus faith and mental health. We can talk about it. You can go see a therapist. It's okay as you pray, right? So it's just a vital discussion that we're going to have that will touch not all aspects, but as many aspects that we could put in an hour and a half that will help us to understand. Because if we don't understand the plight of mental health, it's very, very difficult to do something about it from a place of empathy, from a place of sympathy, and just science. So as we continue to learn, I believe that our community will lift. It's that hand up. We'll continue to lift as we learn, and we'll be less judgmental. It's 1 in 4. I mean, we can just go around our household, 1 in 4, and then look at our neighbors when we consider who has a mental illness, and then who has a mental illness that has not been diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
That number is small. We have to be concerned beyond passing judgment. There's some very, very real needs when we look at sexual violence in our community. Why? What happened to you? What's your story? What's going on? So this is what we'll get into on Saturday. And it's also our desire that it will that we'll be able to go deeper than just the high level conversation that we already know. Every panelist is fully equipped to handle this discussion in a way that will drive us down where we're able to understand with critical eyes and through empathy. I believe that our community also needs hope. We need to understand and we need hope so that we can lift, so that we can arise, so that we can do better. Plus a good Southern breakfast is always on point at 8 o'clock. So, and I'm so grateful that Von is in studio because he is one of the frontline workers. He's in communities working with our youth. And we need to, when I go out to the detention center and probably 98% of the individuals that I work with are Black and brown, we need to talk about it. What's going on amongst our youth? So I'm very happy that Von will be joining us as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Von, share with us What does your role look like in the community for individuals that don't know? Just kind of talk a little bit about your work, your background, and why you are joining this panel discussion this Saturday.
Thank you guys for having me. Shout out to Sister Patterson and Martha Love and the whole staff for selecting me for this panel. This is one of many topics that I don't know if people saw. I actually did a rant the other day on Facebook about bullying because as an activist and an advocate, I find myself a lot of times having to go in and support young people and or parents in instances where young people are being bullied, the school or the staff or individuals are not hearing them. And then when they finally act out or defend themselves, they come down on them. A lot of times they end up doing something to the victim versus the person that's perpetrating. So that's something that I kind of went off about because, a lot of these issues we used to look at like suicide. A lot of people used to say, we got this high homicide rate, and that's no matter if we got 90 homicides or 240, right? But I used to see those other statistics of 600, 700, 800, 900 suicides throughout the state. And a lot of those, majority were white people, right? And so I used to look at that as a white problem. But now, in the past couple of years, I have seen that uptick specifically with our young people. Scrolling up and down Facebook, I see people all the time talk about being ready to crash out. I see people talking about, being depressed to the point where they don't want to be here anymore. I see more and more people saying, my best friend or this person or that person committed suicide, right? And these are Black people. And so that is a subject that I have to take more interest to and help people connect that conversation, because mental health is taboo in our community, but we Black in America, there are not too many of us who don't have, there's mental illness and there's mental health issues. Me personally, in my position, there's also a layer of the helpers or the people who are, the folks that everybody come to, right? I get talked about self-care all the time, but even when I do worry about myself, it's to the point where I'm worrying, how can I sustain so that I can sustain other people? I'm always worried about other people, even when I'm, it come back to me. And that takes a level of mental health, right? That we don't get to talk about. So it's so many different layers where this affects us, specifically our young people, which I kind of try to have a focus on in our community among a plethora of other things, but it's very important.
Yeah. I really, go ahead, Ms. Dana.
May I please add that in 2022, 12.1 million adults were reported as having serious ideations of suicide. And we know that it's from those that have less and those that have more, as the sister that was the president of the university, who we were very proud of completing the act of suicide. So we have to pay attention. Generalized anxiety disorder is one of the number one mental health concerns. In America, anxiety, generalized anxiety. Then we consider depression, bipolarism. So there are so many layers that we have to contend with in our community, but we have to learn it. We have, instead of just casting judgment. That's the one thing that's very important to me. If we can look through the lens that it doesn't have to be me, my sister, my brother, my uncle, but I'm affected because it is someone in my community that is suffering. And we can't always tell that a person is suffering by the way they look. We have to have real conversations and know what we're looking at. How, if they say certain words, well, what do you mean by that? Well, are you in a place where there's a gun around? Can your so-and-so come and sit with you? Can I come over? We have to have real conversations and, as individuals say, get in folks' business a little bit more so that we can stop these suicides. Oftentimes it's a cry for help. People are on the ledge, but they really just want someone to feel them, to help them. Help me to cope.
Yeah, I really appreciate you highlighting, folks want to be heard, they want to be felt. I've spoken, we had last week in studio Dr. Latoya K. Williams, and just speaking as a helper, right, by in the work that, my own mental wellness is exacerbated, because you got to deal with both sides. You're dealing with the need for someone to want to be heard and want to be felt, as Miss Dana shared. And then you're also dealing with the barriers that are contributing to what they're experiencing, whether it's the school system, whether it is whatever the system is, and place of employment, the neighborhood dynamics, the home dynamics, those things that might be contributing to a person's mental wellness, or the stability in their mental wellness. And you need some support yourself. On the other side of the break, we talk a lot about those that need to be helped, but how do we support the helper in this work to make sure that that they are well, that they are stable, that they can continue to pour, because you are designed how you're wired, how you're wired.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to stop helping people, you're not going to stop responding. How do we make sure you can maintain in that, Keith?
You're listening to Community Voice. We're joined in the studio by Mr. Vaughn Mays. Miss Dana World Patterson's on the phone. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
very clear that we can talk about all of the ills in our community, but if it doesn't lead us to a place of hope for our community, then it becomes a clanging cymbal. So what I'm hoping is that, and the team, what we're hoping for is a wealth of information. And how do we process this information so that it helps ourselves and so that the overflow then touches someone else and we'll be able to help to build and strengthen our community? It always has to lead with hope, and hope is becoming a science.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a polyandry expression, but hope is needed within our psyche. It's needed within our bodies because we know that the body keeps score. And if we can operate through a place of hope, then our community will begin to heal. For instance, young men walking across the street, instead of being afraid, if we can look at them through the lens of, if I bring them over, I'll get to know them. Hopefully I'll get to know them. And I want to tell you this, as I was talking to those 7 young men that were walking across the street on a bright sunny day, each of them had a weapon. Each of them had a weapon. And I was like, oh, hey, okay. So who's going to college? What's going on? Why are you carrying that? And they're like, at that point, Miss Dana, you don't know what's going on out here in the street. My husband came in these streets. My husband came over, started talking to the young men just as regular, like they went to Mesmer, Wauwatosa, all the high performing schools, and they did not see hope. My husband was able to offer an internship with one of the young men who was Ubering out to Germantown. When we were able to give these young men jobs. I built a program through the Greater Milwaukee Foundation for them. So it's just understanding, taking another level, peeling off the onion so that we can get to know people and understand the plight of our community. It always leads to hope. It always leads to a place of how can we do more.
Mm-hmm.
Bro Banks?
You know what success looks like to me, and you know what I hope to get from this is, again, just that general support for all the people out here trying to do something. I got to, in the conversation of mental health, folks like Montreal Kane and Mira, who I know, Conforce does a lot, but when it comes to, I handle issues of mental health, but there are people out here who specialize in that. That's their thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, I don't rush out like, oh yeah, Von Mays, like I'm going to come rescue. No, I need to call Montreal. You know what I mean? I need to call this person or that person. So that person gets the best of what we have to offer without we just playing it by ear or just putting things together and making things happen. So people like that need to be supported and need to be able to do their work. In whatever capacity, and we need to do that in collaboration and support of one another. Like that's been my goal in the past couple of years of forcing the conversation, not just in community field, but you'll see me over in music, you'll see me over in film. Now I'm going in all these circles, breaking down that Milwaukee historical issue of competition. You know what I'm saying, as best as I can. And, I always say unity ain't everybody. It's the right people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it ain't going to be all of us. Some people are just going to do what they're going to do. And I don't worry about who don't come and who don't support. Whoever we can get, that's who we going to roll with.
That's
so.
Right.
It's also removing stigma. There used to be a time where you didn't talk about it. We just knew that something was off. But what's important is to know that this is a real diagnosis. And it's happening with millions of people, and millions of people exist without help. So to know that the stigma is reduced, it's gone. Let's get help for our community and for those that know that something just isn't right. There are times when I'm feeling like, a lot is going on. I need to rest. because some of us are just a click. It's just a matter of another thing that will take us over. And we don't know that space. So the self-care is important. And sometimes we need to rest. When you love the work that you do, I fooled myself into thinking because I love the work that I do, I can just keep going, keep going, keep going. No way. It is taxing on the body to be a helper. So to be able to see all the different elements that intersect with mental health and how our community needs to rise in this area, we have dynamic speakers that are coming, that are doing the work, and they're not only talking the talk, but doing the work. And there are so many more. We could have had a panel of thousands that are doing really good work in our community. And if you know that you need help, go see a therapist. And if not, if auntie will be the therapist that day, if uncle will be the therapist, if there is help for our community. We just have to see it and do more. We have to do more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We do have to do more. And, earlier in the show, folks kind of alluded to, excuses being made for the community for certain behaviors or things that we're seeing. And it's a yes and. Yes, there are some people that know better. And I can even speak to my own self to say that, there are things that I know I should do that I don't do. It just is, this wretched man of my flesh. What does it say, Keith? What's the scripture? Yeah.
Oh, wretched man that I am.
Yes, that's what it is, right? And then you have folks that don't know, and you have folks that don't have the mental capacity to process certain behaviors and the unintended consequences from those behaviors. And what I think is really important and a great benefit of community brainstorming conference is the ability to bring the experts into a space to begin to strategize. How do we tackle this problem, right? And so we have the panelists who are experts in their lane that need to come together, not just to promote the services that they offer. That's great, right? But when great minds get into a space, we can create solutions at a larger level. If we're really intentional in how we utilize the time together. So, that's one of the things I'm always very, very grateful about coming into the community brainstorming conference space is that we're touching people that are in you gave a great example, Vaughn, with Montreal. Okay, the strategy is when we have this type of client, we're going to make sure we refer them over here for this services because that's what they specialize. We'll refer this individual to them because that's what they specialize in. And how do we create a network that we can do this bi-directional referral amongst each other, do this promotion of all of our services so that we can increase our capacity for addressing this very, very, very heavy lift. We all know living in America as a person of color, as anything other than the majority, is going to create some mental health issues.
And take your medicine. Sometimes an individual gets tired of taking medicine that is designed for them to feel better, but they just get tired of it. And then there's an offset to that.
Well, we know that the medications, particularly from the pharmaceutical industry, has adverse side effects. In fact, I spoke last week about my own states where I had been placed on Lexapro, and I had to tell my provider, like, this is creating suicidal ideologies. I don't want to take this anymore. And she knew that was a byproduct of a side effect of the drug, right? The prescription. And so this is also the catch-22 we find ourselves in, that there are so many things we don't have control over, even when we want to get help. And so here is a space where we can have a lot of autonomy as a group, as a community, to say, how are we going to drive what this looks like in our space? Go ahead.
And just, I have a thing too, like everybody's understanding and perception ain't the same. Perception is huge to me.
Yeah.
Right. And when you, specifically when you talk about young people or even adults who did not get the proper upbringing or have the proper supports. So America is a place that is a divisive place to begin with, right? So who's to tell, as a young person, if you say, I went to King, so we had rivals like Vincent, right? That's a American thing to have a high school rival or whatever the case may be. But what is the difference between that and Vice Lords versus GDs?
Yeah.
We practice tribalism, but then when somebody perceives that and can't tell the difference between this or that, how can you tell them that they're wrong? It's like when the whole car theft thing started happening. I'm seeing people, especially adults, bashing the kids, and I'm like, I know people who are boosters that everybody supports.
Yes.
Stealing is stealing.
Stealing is stealing.
So you can't be a booster.
That's right.
And get on Facebook and say they wrong for stealing. It's the same thing.
But see, the greatest sin is exposure.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's the greatest sin. So what happens is my sin, as long as you don't know about it,
right?
My behavior, as long as you don't know about it, it's all right. Once it's exposed, see, you go, look. But I agree that's a great point in terms of, but it becomes, but you talk about the tribalism, that's just part of us becoming, unfortunately, human adults. That's what we do, right? When you in high school, you began to get your clique, your set. We kind of do that. And then of course we have more organized situations. You join churches, but you're right in terms of how we line up. That starts as soon as we hit puberty, right?
Yes.
In terms of that. So how do you, you were talking about earlier, the whole stigma. How do we create an environment where people will be more willing to step forward to get help?
I find that, if you follow me, I try to show people, again, a different perception, because I even get, you're an activist, you're not supposed to be doing that. Well, who's to say that? Because I'm a person.
Right.
At the end of the day, like, I'm not out here for you to follow me. I'm out here to do a service and a job, but I'm still a human. I still get mad. I still get upset. I still get frustrated. I have these human emotions, and I'm still a person. So that even breaking down those barriers, because I remember coming from a time where people would say, well, I won't follow a person with tattoos, or I won't follow a person who looks like this or doesn't do it this way. But then the people who you follow like that are leading you off a cliff. So what are we talking about? So I find me sharing those and those relatable experiences. As a young person, I stole cars. As a young person, I took from people. I was violent. I did these, this crime or that crime. Like, I know what it is to be that, so that's why I understand it. And so when people know that you have that, one of the main things when they have this, I don't know how many people know about World Star, but I've been on there a couple of times for fighting. So when young people a lot of times find that out, they like, oh, you was on there. To them, that's right. It represents a certain thing. So then they open up more to me, understanding that I was there at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? And so just relatability is a huge factor. And that's why it matters a lot of times who is doing what.
Yep.
Right. Because I could tell a young person, and that's, listen, with the lock-ins, the one we did in with is that Glendale?
Yeah.
I was telling Montreal, like, we had 85 kids that night, and something happened where it got a little, we didn't have enough adults to kind of control the space the way that we wanted to. But I remember coming out of one of the workrooms, and Montreal had like 80 of them kids sitting down Indian style, listening to him do a speech for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can get groups of them or, build with them one-on-one. But again, certain people have certain talents, and putting those people in a position to do the best job is goes a long way. And I don't have a problem.
But Vaughn, you probably could do that, because you're the word is relatability and connecting. You do it every day.
Yeah.
It's in your lane.
It's interesting. They asked me to go and speak to a group of young people at an alternative high school. So I come in and man, I am not getting through to these kids at all. I mean, we're on different wavelengths. And so finally, I said, I flunked kindergarten. When I said I flunked kindergarten, all those kids got with me, right? I mean, not that they ever, but they were going like, oh, okay, so you know what it is. I said, yeah, dude. I mean, and I started off flunking. So, you gotta, but you're right, that whole relatability, that whole thing about, when they said, well, you were pretty good working with kids. I never forgot what it was to be 14. Because if I ever remember what it was to be 14, I understand what this 14-year-old is doing now. We have a tendency to forget that. So you're right. I think, you have that conversation with people, they relate to it. And I think, but certainly when we diagnosed and trying to get the diagnosis, because a lot of times we're just fearful of that diagnosis, that there might be something. A lot of our mental health is neurological, so when we're dealing with issues, it's not, they say got a behavior issue. No, he's dealing with a neurological issue. And we have to mitigate that neurological condition in order for him or her to kind of be on a solid footing where now they can go out and live in this world.
A lot of them have a barrier, an internal barrier, where they don't believe, like they really think they're the only one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as again, there's nothing new under the sun. Like whether you talk about abuse, whether you talk about having or not having, but people just have it in their head a lot of times that nobody will understand. They're the only person going through that, or that went through it the way that they went through it.
That way.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so that prevents them from sharing or, even bringing that up. And so when they get around people who share that, they're more apt to speak on it or deal with it, right? So that's a real thing.
Good. That's so good. And may I insert here?
Absolutely.
As we, those who know, if we listen well, oftentimes, and we're willing to share our story, as you all have said, with connecting and relatability, if there's you'll hear, well, I've been through that. And oftentimes I'll say, pinch me, baby. I've been there. I hear what you're saying. Pinch me. I'm still standing. You can get through it. I hear you. So, and then if it's not my story where I can relate and talk about the triumph, from tragedy to triumph, but I know Bria's story. Will you be willing to talk to, my friend who has gone and experienced what you're talking about and how she moved through? You may be able to get some good pointers that will help you. So there is, as we listen as a community, we'll be able to connect. Through our organization, we use shoes out on the street. You may think that, there's no way to connect with people that don't look like you. But we extend a pair of shoes like, sis, do you need any shoes? You need some sandals, some tennis shoes? Yeah, no one has turned down a pair of shoes. And through that, what's your name? I'm talking about community, not our neighbor, not our family, but now community. Well, what's your name? And I had someone, I was in New York City, and I asked the lady who was sitting with a bag over her. And I asked her name. She said, you know what? No one in all these years of me being out on the street, no one has ever asked me my name. She said, will you pray for me? She didn't know me from Adam. And I saw her then on another trip to New York. We were in another neighborhood. By this time, I saw the person, leaning up against the building watching her. But I was able, God gave me her name. I called her name and she said, you remember my name? Yes, sis, how are you? What do you need? She said, I don't need anything out here. I'm going to get enough pretzels and hot dogs, but will you pray for me? That impact, that contact, you never know. I call it touches, positive touches. So as we interact, you never know what just smiling and looking at a person can do. Knowing that they're going through, but it's like you saw me, you heard me. So we can do that every single day. We can listen well and connect, relatability. And if you don't have the goods, pass it on. Let me hold your hand, sis. I want you to meet someone else.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're up on the last break of the program. We'll be right back.
Acclaimed jazz vocalist Cecile McLaurin-Salvin is a
FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice as we finish up another program. Dana, can you tell us about the particulars for Saturday?
Absolutely. Community brainstorming has been in effect for 36 years, and the opportunity to be in person and on Zoom continues this Saturday at St. Matthew's, which is 2944 North 9th Street. Country style breakfast beginning at 8 and delicious, I want you to know. Mm-hmm. Plenty of food, and the discussion will begin at 9. And we try to cover a broad spectrum. For instance, our LGBT community, Black vets, sexual violence, what MPD is doing, the Milwaukee Police Department, Space. Kwaku is going to offer an overview of mental health in our community. You have Vaughn, which is connecting with our youth, and Mr. Sylvester Jackson. He also will offer perspective that is very unique. I'm facilitating. Mr. Rush is the chair of community brainstorming, and we're really looking to go beyond the surface so that we can hear how we can connect with a broad stroke, as well as those that we touch, which will guide us towards hope. It is always imperative, because you get tired of the we're not, we're less than, we're depleted here. May be true. That may be true, but we also live with triumph. So I'm looking forward to the knit and the grit, and then how can we be better? So you can expect that this Saturday. We're going to talk about mental health because it is affecting a lot of people. And we have the statistics of the millions that are diagnosed. But what about those that are not, that we interface with on a daily basis? So I serve because of Martha Love, and you all know Martha, and she's amazing, but we really want to do more. So I appreciate that.
Vaughn,
and that's what you can expect on Saturday.
Vaughn, anything in closing?
No, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity. And I'll see you guys Saturday.
Bria?
Of course, I would encourage everyone to be present this Saturday for community brainstorming. 8 a.m., as Ms. Dana shared, is breakfast. 9 a.m. is the discussion. It's very, very important that if we want to see our community improve and you like to contribute, you got to be in the spaces where the conversations are being held. And so this is a wonderful, safe space. I'll note I've recently been added to the board for Community Brainstorming Conference. So I'm really, really excited about that, and excited to have Unite WI as a part of the sponsors in this work. This is amazing work, Community Brainstorming Conference.
Mm-hmm.
We want to preserve this entity, this space for communities of color, particularly the Black community, to come to address what our issues are, to discuss potential solutions, and then to go and execute in our respective spaces. So thank you so much, Ms. Dana. Thank you, Vaughn.
Yes.
Very, very grateful. We'll see you all on Saturday, hopefully, Keith.
May I add one more thing there?
Absolutely.
Because, so we want to fill the room, and the room is filled with people from all over the community, those that look like us and those that don't.
Agreed.
And judges come all the time. They've been coming for years and years and years. So if you want to meet some people that are doing good work, come and be in person. But you can also go to Community Brainstorming Conference on Zoom. So look for that on Saturday if you can't make it. But please come. Let's fill the room. We're used to standing room only.
Yeah.
And so it's okay.
One last note, because she did make a good point about the judges. And it's election season. You'll see a lot of electeds there because they want your vote. So if you have questions about someone that's running for office, I'm sure they'll be at community brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
So let me thank Bria. Let me thank Vaughn. Dana, thank you. Keon, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Carvey, thank you, sir. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.